Here's a time-lapse painting of my nephew Beckham. Fun little quick painting, 3 hours about, maybe 4, because I did 2 layers on this one. But if you can see through the time-lapse, I'm using lots of different brushes. I'm using a filbert brush, which is kind of rounded at the top, and also flats to chisel in shapes. And then I'm also using a fan brush to soften things out. You'll see that at the end of the time-lapse. But off to the right, you can see the palette and the colors that I'm mixing. I like to compress the colors or place the colors next to each other when I'm painting light shapes and colors next to each other when I'm painting shadow shapes. That way I get my values correct in relationship to each other. This part, in the very first sitting of first layer of doing this painting, you can see that I have it separated like lip color, shadow shapes, eye color, skin tone, and the lights. And then once I have all those shapes broken down, I go in and start to paint the details with a smaller brush. Sometimes I get a larger brush to simplify things and break shapes up because I'm not liking the progress of the painting. But in terms of getting this right with the proportions and the shapes and the values, I felt like I did a pretty good job in the first go around, which is always exciting. I think it's really fun to do that in the first round, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't quite him, and the colors looked a little bit too yellow, so he's slightly jaundiced looking. I don't know, maybe he wasn't. Do you think he was? Maybe he was. I'm not sure. Either way, I didn't really like it. So the next day, or a couple days later, after the paint layer has cured, this is oil paint, so it cures, it doesn't dry. But anyways, after it cured, then I went back in and I cooled down some of those colors and softened the transitions. You can see here I'm using a fan brush and also a filbert to soften out those transitions, especially between the light shape of the zygomatic and also the halftone that's going underneath the eye and the orbit, and then also the superciliary ridge. That's the part where the eyebrow sits on. And then I apply a little bit more texture at the top there because I want that lighter value on the forehead to come out. And that's basically it. Going with a paintbrush, a fan brush to soften out some of those transitions. I don't use like other fan brushes, but anyways, hope the brushes and Beckham really helped you out. If not, that really sucks. We'll catch you on the next one.